My friends, as the day draws to an end, as the sun sinks low and the stars begin to appear, there is a holy moment given to us, a sacred space where we are invited to surrender everything into the hands of the one who watches over our lives. All day long you have walked through challenges, faced temptation, carried heavy burdens, and wrestled with your own weaknesses. But now you have reached the quiet of the night, and in this stillness you are invited to lay it all down. The world is loud, isn't it? There is so much movement, so much chaos, so much confusion. You turn on the television and hear of war, pain, and suffering. You step outside and see people rushing, striving, chasing after things that can never truly satisfy. And in the middle of all of this, you carry your own worries, your own struggles, your own fears. But tonight, before you rest your head on your pillow, there is something important you must do. You must come to the one who knows you better than you know yourself, the one who sees the deepest places of your heart, the one who understands every longing you carry, the one who walks with you even when you feel completely alone. And before sleep gently takes hold, before your eyes close in rest, there are words that need to be spoken, words that have the power to change everything. There is gratitude. Oh, how often do we forget to give thanks? How often do we rush through our days, taking for granted the air we breathe, the food on our tables, the roof over our heads? How often do we forget that every good and perfect gift comes from above? Gratitude changes things. When we begin to thank the one who provides, our hearts are lifted, our burdens become lighter, and our minds are filled with peace. The world teaches us to focus on what we lack, but the truth is, we are already blessed beyond measure. The very fact that we have made it through another day is reason enough to lift our voices in thanks. So tonight, as you lie in bed, let your heart be filled with gratitude. Think of the moments today where you were shown kindness, the moments where you felt joy, the moments where you saw beauty. Maybe it was in the laughter of a child. Maybe it was in the kindness of a stranger. Maybe it was simply in the fact that you were given another chance to live. And as you give thanks, something will happen. You will begin to see life differently. The worries that seem so heavy will fade in the light of gratitude. The fears that seem so strong will weaken, because a thankful heart is a heart that is at peace. Then there is surrender. Oh, how we try to hold on to things, don't we? We try to carry every burden. We try to solve every problem. We try to control every situation. And yet, we are not meant to do this alone. Tonight, before you sleep, there is an invitation to let go. To take every worry, every fear, every doubt, and place it in the hands of the one who is greater. Maybe today you faced a battle you could not win. Maybe you have been struggling with something no one else knows about. Maybe your heart is heavy with sorrow, with regret, with pain. But hear this, there is no burden too heavy, no sin too great, no problem too impossible. There is one who is able, one who is strong, one who is faithful, and he is calling you to trust. So tonight, speak these words, I surrender. Speak them not just with your lips, but with your heart. Release the grip you have on your worries. Let go of the things you cannot control. And in that surrender, you will find rest. True rest, not just for your body, but for your soul. And then there is the cry for guidance. How many times have we wandered through life not knowing which way to turn? How many times have we faced decisions that seemed impossible? We do not have all the answers. We cannot see what lies ahead, but there is one who does, and he is willing to lead. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, ask for wisdom. Ask for direction. Ask that your steps be guided, that your mind be enlightened, that your heart be open to truth. And then, trust that the answer will come. It may not come in the way you expect. It may not come in the timing you desire, but it will come. Because when we ask for wisdom, it is given. When we seek truth, we find it. When we knock, the door is opened. And finally, there is the request for protection. We do not know what tomorrow holds. We do not know what trials may come, what storms may rise, what challenges may await. But we do know this: there is one who never sleeps, one who watches over us, one who stands as a shield around us. As you close your eyes tonight, ask for protection over your home, over your family, over your heart and mind. Ask that no fear, no harm, no evil may come near. And then rest. Rest, knowing that you are held, that you are safe, that you are never alone. All these words, words of gratitude, surrender, guidance, and protection, are not just words. They are life. They are peace. They are the key to resting in the arms of the one who loves you more than you could ever imagine. So tonight, before you sleep, speak them, and let your heart be at peace. How often do we forget to give thanks? How often do we rush through our days, taking for granted the air we breathe, the food on our tables, the roof over our heads? How often do we overlook the countless blessings that surround us? It is so easy to get caught up in what we do not have, in what we are still waiting for, in what we think we need to be happy. The world teaches us to focus on what is missing. The advertisements tell us we need more. Society pushes us to always chase the next thing, the next promotion, the next possession, the next accomplishment, always believing that happiness is just one step ahead, never in the present moment. But gratitude changes things. When we begin to give thanks, something shifts inside of us. When we stop and acknowledge the good things in our lives, our hearts are lifted, our burdens become lighter, and our minds are filled with peace. Gratitude is not just a habit. It is a choice. It is a way of seeing the world, of recognizing that even in the darkest moments, there is still light. It is the realization that every breath we take is a gift, that every sunrise is a new beginning, that every kind word spoken to us is an expression of grace. Maybe today was not an easy day. Maybe you faced trials that drained your energy, circumstances that tested your faith, challenges that made you question everything. Maybe you woke up this morning with a heart full of worry, with a mind racing with problems, with a spirit weighed down by things you cannot control. And maybe even now, as you prepare for a sleep, those same worries are still lingering, threatening to steal your peace, to keep you awake through the night. But even in the midst of it all, there is something to be grateful for. Maybe it is the fact that you made it through the day, even when you thought you wouldn't. Maybe it is the kindness of a friend, the laughter of a child, the warmth of a home, the comfort of knowing that you are not alone. Maybe it is simply the fact that you are still here, still breathing, still given another chance to live, to love, to make things right. So tonight, as you lie in bed, take a moment to give thanks. Think of every good thing, no matter how small. Thank the one who provided for you today, the one who gave you strength when you felt weak, the one who walked with you even when you did not see him. Thank him for the lessons you learned, for the growth that came through the trials, for the unseen ways he protected you. Because when you begin to thank him, something happens. The worries that seem so overwhelming will lose their power. The stress that weighed you down will begin to lift. The fear that gripped your heart will start to fade. A thankful heart is a heart that is at peace. A thankful heart is a heart that rests. Gratitude is not just about recognizing the good in our lives. It is about trusting that even in the struggles, even in the unknowns, there is a purpose, there is a plan, there is a reason to hope. And when you sleep with a heart full of gratitude, you wake up with a spirit ready to face a new day, with faith, with strength, and with the unshakable assurance that you are never alone. How we try to hold on to things, don't we? We try to carry every burden, solve every problem, control every situation. We wake up in the morning with plans, with expectations, with our own ideas of how things should go, and when they don't, when life takes a turn we didn't anticipate, when the door we were so sure would open stays shut, when the answer we prayed for doesn't come in the way we expected, what do? We tighten our grip, we try harder, we strategize, we worry, we overthink. We try to handle things on our own. But the truth is, we were never meant to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We were never meant to bear the burdens alone. There is one who is greater, one who is stronger, one who is faithful beyond what we can imagine, and he is calling us to let go, to place everything, our fears, our doubts, our struggles, into his hands. Maybe today was a battle. Maybe you fought against thoughts of fear, of insecurity, of regret. Maybe you carry the weight of a past mistake, a failure that haunts you, a wound that still hasn't healed. Maybe you are exhausted, not just physically, but deep in your soul. You have been striving, pushing, trying to hold everything together, trying to make sense of things that don't seem to make sense. And now, as you prepare to sleep, your heart is still restless, your mind still racing, your soul still burdened. But there is an invitation tonight, an invitation to surrender, to take all of it, the stress, the anxiety, the pain, the uncertainty, and lay it down. To open your hands and release the things you were never meant to hold, to trust that there is a purpose even when you cannot see it. Surrender is not about giving up, it's about giving over. It's about recognizing that you do not have to have all the answers, because there is one who already does. It's about knowing that even when you feel weak, He is strong. It's about believing that even when things seem out of control, they are never out of His hands. So tonight, before you close your eyes, speak these words, I surrender. Speak them not just with your lips, but with your heart. Release the grip you have on your worries. Let go of the things you cannot control. Trust that the one who brought you this far will not leave you now. And when you do, something will happen. The weight will begin to lift. The fear will begin to fade. The restless thoughts that kept you up at night will be replaced with peace. True peace, the kind that goes beyond understanding. Because when you surrender, you are not losing, you are gaining. You are stepping into a freedom that only comes when you place everything into the hands of the one who is always faithful. Rest in that tonight. Rest in knowing that you do not have to figure everything out. You do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to carry it all. You are held. You are loved. You are not alone. How many times have we walked through life not knowing which way to turn? How many times have we stood at a crossroads, faced with decisions that seemed impossible? unsure what to do. Life is full of choices, some small, some life-changing. And with each decision comes the weight of uncertainty. What if we choose wrong? What if we take the wrong path? What if we step forward only to realize we should have gone another way? There are moments when the road ahead seems clear, when everything falls into place effortlessly. But there are also moments when the way forward is covered in fog, when, no matter how hard we try, we cannot see past the next step. There are times when our hearts are torn between options, when fear whispers doubts into our ears, when we long for a voice to tell us, "This is the way, walk in it." Maybe today you were faced with a decision that felt heavy on your heart. Maybe you have been searching for clarity, praying for direction, waiting for an answer. Maybe you are standing in a season where you feel stuck, unsure of what step to take next, unsure where to go, unsure if you are even on the right path. You have tried to work it out on your own, turning every option over in your mind, analyzing every possible outcome, trying to find the perfect solution. Yet the more you think, the more tangled it feels. The more you search, the less certain you become. But hear this truth: guidance is available to you. You are not wandering without direction. There is one who sees the road ahead, one who knows the beginning and the end, one who is never confused, never uncertain, never unsure, and He is ready to lead you. He is ready to reveal the way, to direct your steps, and to give you the wisdom you need. But you must ask. Tonight, as you prepare to sleep, lift your heart and ask for guidance. Ask for wisdom. Ask that your steps be ordered, that your decisions align with a higher purpose, that your mind be filled with understanding, and then trust that the answer will come. It may not arrive how you expect. It may not come right away, but it will come. Because when wisdom is asked for, it is given. When truth is sought, it is found. When you knock, the door is opened. And when the answer comes, it may not always be what you thought it would be. Sometimes guidance comes in the form of peace, a quiet assurance deep in your heart that tells you which way to go. Sometimes it comes in the form of a closed door, a path that is blocked, not to harm you, but to protect you from something that was never meant for you. Sometimes it comes through people, a conversation, a word of encouragement, a piece of advice that suddenly makes everything clear. And sometimes it comes in silence, a time of waiting, a season where no clear direction is given. Not because you are being ignored, but because you are being taught to trust. Do not be discouraged if the answer does not come immediately. Do not be afraid if you cannot see the whole picture. Just take the next step. Follow the peace in your heart. Move forward with faith, knowing that you are being guided, that you are being led, that you are not walking this path alone. Tonight, as you close your eyes, release the need to have it all figured out. Let go of the pressure to always know the next move. Instead, rest in the assurance that there is a way forward, and in time, it will be made clear. Rest in the truth that you are not lost, that you are not abandoned, that you are being led by a wisdom far greater than your own. We do not know what tomorrow holds. We do not know what trials may come, what storms may rise, what challenges may await us. Life is unpredictable. One moment everything seems secure, steady, unshaken. And then, in an instant, everything can change. A single phone call, a sudden loss, an unexpected turn of events. These can shake the very ground beneath our feet. We like to believe we are in control. We like to think that if we make the right decisions, if we plan ahead, if we are careful enough, we can protect our owls from all harm. We lock our doors at night, we save money for the future, we study, we work hard, we prepare. And yet deep down we know the truth. There are things beyond our control. The storms of life come to all of us. It does not matter who you are, where you live, how strong or wise you may be. There are battles we cannot fight on our own. There are dangers we cannot see. Forces at work beyond our understanding. And in those moments when fear creeps in, when uncertainty looms over us like a dark cloud, we are reminded of one simple truth. We need divine protection. Oh, how easy it is to be afraid. How easy it is to let worry consume us, to let anxiety take over our hearts and minds. Maybe today you have been worried about your family, your children, your spouse, your loved ones. Maybe you have been afraid of what the future holds, afraid of losing what you have worked so hard for, afraid of sickness, afraid of failure, afraid of things you cannot see. Maybe you have felt the weight of the world pressing down on you, and no matter how hard you try to stay strong, the fear keeps whispering, "What if?" But hear this: there is one who never sleeps, one who watches over you, one who stands as a shield around us. He is greater than the storm, stronger than the enemy, mightier than any force that could ever come against you. He does not grow weary. He does not abandon those who call upon Him. He is the defender of the weak, the refuge for the weary, the fortress for those who seek safety in Him. Tonight, as you close your eyes, you are not alone. You are not defenseless. You are not unprotected. The one who formed the heavens and the earth, the one who spoke the stars into existence, the one who holds all things together, He is watching over you. He is covering you with His presence. He is surrounding you with His love. The world is full of danger. We see it every day on the news, in our communities, in our own lives. We see violence, sickness, wars, disasters. We hear of tragedies, of families torn apart, of lives changed in an instant. And if we are not careful, we can let these things fill our hearts with fear. But fear is not what we were created for. We were not made to live in constant anxiety, in a state of panic, always wondering what will happen next. No, we were made to trust. We were made to live in faith, to walk in confidence, to rest in the assurance that no matter what happens around us, we are held in the hands of one who never fails. Do you remember the story of the disciples on the boat? They were caught in a storm, waves crashing, wind roaring, their small vessel tossed about in the sea. Fear gripped them. They thought they would perish. And where was their master? He was asleep. Asleep in the middle of the storm. The disciples, panicked and desperate, woke Him up. "Master, don't you care that we are perishing?" they cried. And what did He do? He stood up, looked at the raging sea, and spoke 3 simple words: "Peace, be still." And in an instant, the wind stopped, the waves calmed, the storm disappeared. Oh, how often we are like those disciples. How often we panic when the storms of life come, when danger surrounds us, when we feel helpless and afraid. We cry out, "Lord, do you not see what I'm going through? Do you not care that I'm afraid, that I'm struggling?" But just as He did on that stormy sea, He speaks the same words to us today. Peace, be still, because He is with us, He has never left us. He is in the boat with us through every storm, through every trial, through every dark night. So tonight, before you sleep, ask for protection over your home, over your family, over your heart and mind. Ask that no fear, no harm, no evil may come near you. Ask that you would rest in peace, knowing that you are surrounded by His presence. And as you pray, believe. Believe that the one who watches over you neither slumbers nor sleeps. Believe that He has sent His angels to guard you. Believe that no weapon formed against you will prosper. Believe that no matter what tomorrow brings, you are secure in His hands. There are so many stories, testimonies of those who have experienced divine protection in ways they never imagined. A mother who prayed for her son before he left the house, only to later learn that an accident occurred on the very road he would have taken had he not been delayed by something so small as forgetting his keys. A man who missed his flight, frustrated by the inconvenience, only to realize later that the very plane he was supposed to board never reached its destination. Coincidence? No. Protection. How many times have you been saved from dangers you never even saw coming? How many moments in your life have been altered not by chance, but by divine intervention? You may not always see it, you may not always realize it, but He is watching over you. He is guiding your steps. He is protecting you in ways you cannot even comprehend. And even in the moments when trouble does come, when hardship does arise, His protection is still there. It does not always mean we will never face difficulties, but it does mean we will never face them alone. It means that no matter what comes against us, it will not destroy us. That even in the fire, we will not be consumed. That even in the storm, we will not be overtaken. Think of Daniel in the lion's den. Think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. Think of Paul in the shipwreck. Again and again, we see the same truth. He protects His own. He delivers those who trust in Him. He is our refuge, our fortress, our ever-present help in time of need. So tonight, as you lay your head on your pillow, let go of fear. Let go of worry. Let go of the thoughts that try to steal your peace. Instead, rest in the promise that you are safe. You are covered. You are surrounded by His love, and no matter what tomorrow brings, you can wake up with confidence, knowing that you are never alone. Because the one who watches over you never fails. He is your protector, your shield, your refuge in the storm. Rest in that truth tonight. Rest in His peace. And when you wake, walk forward with courage, with faith, with the unshakable confidence that you are held in hands that will never let you go. And now, my friend, as the night draws near and your weary body seeks rest, let your soul find its refuge in this truth. You are not alone. You are not left to fend for yourself in a world that is uncertain, unpredictable, and often filled with trouble. And your soul filled with trouble, you are not left vulnerable to the winds and waves of life. No, you are covered, shielded, protected by a presence greater than any danger you could ever face. Think about this. Every night, millions of people close their eyes and drift into sleep, never fully aware what happens around them as they rest. The world keeps moving. The cities remain alive with lights. The oceans continue their tide. The winds shift in unseen patterns, and yet through it all you are sustained. Your heart keeps speeding. Your lungs keep breathing. Your body, created with divine precision, does not need your effort to function through the night. Who sustains you? Who watches over you? Who ensures that you wake up to see another day? It is not by chance. It is not by luck. It is divine care. It is the hand of the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps, who guards your life, who surrounds you like a shield. Every night as you rest, He stands watch over you. Oh, if we could only see with spiritual eyes, we would realize how much unseen danger we have been protected from. The car that didn't hit you, the sickness that passed you by, the evil that was turned away before it could reach your doorstep, the path you chose not to take that saved you from ruin. There are battles being fought on your behalf, battles you may never know about, but victories that are won for you. And yet so often we live in fear. We worry about tomorrow. We let anxiety steal our peace. We go to bed with minds racing, hearts burdened, wondering what will come next. But tonight, you do not have to live that way. Tonight, you can rest in divine assurance. What does it mean to rest in assurance? It means knowing that you are not at the mercy of faith or chance or the randomness of life. It means believing that there is a greater power at work, guiding you, watching over you, protecting you. It means letting go of fear and embracing faith. It means that even when you do not see the way forward, even when things seem uncertain, even when the night feels long and the future unknown, you can trust. You can trust that you are being held. You can trust that you are being led. You can trust that you are not abandoned. Let me tell you something. Fear has no power where faith dwells. Anxiety cannot take root in a heart that is surrendered to the one who holds all things together. Worry cannot keep you up at night when you know that the same God who watched over you today will watch over you tomorrow. He has been faithful before, and He will be faithful again. Take a moment to reflect on how far He has already led you. Remember the seasons when you thought you would not survive, yet you are still here. Recall the times you felt completely lost, and somehow a path opened before you. Think about the days when everything seemed to stand against you, and yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still holding on to hope and belief. That is the evidence of His protection. That is the mark of His faithfulness. And if He has carried you this far, there is no reason to believe He would abandon you now. If His hand has guarded you before, there is no reason it would be withdrawn today. So tonight, allow your heart to settle. Let your mind grow quiet. Let every worry, every fear, every anxious thought melt away in the presence of the one who speaks peace over your life. You have not been forgotten. You have not been abandoned. You are not exposed to the chaos of this world. You are held. You are covered. You are secure. Lie down in peace. Close your eyes without fear. Let the weight of today slip away. Let the burdens you have carried be lifted from your spirit. You are under divine care. And when morning comes, when the sun rises once more, you will wake up anchored in the same truth. You are still protected. You are still guided. You are still surrounded by grace. So rest well. Rest deeply. Rest with confidence. Rest in the assurance that you are loved, you are safe, and you are never alone. Deep within every one of us, there is a longing for companionship, a connection that goes beyond the ordinary and reaches into something sacred. There is a quiet yearning, sometimes spoken, sometimes buried beneath the distractions of life, that cries out for someone who can stand beside us through this journey. Today I want to speak to you about how God, in His wisdom and in His perfect timing, brings you to the one who will be your soulmate. When we think about love, We often treat it like a random moment, a simple chance encounter, but that is not the full story, because the relationships that endure, the ones built on trust, honor, and a shared walk forward, do not happen by accident. No, there is a divine plan. There is a path marked out, a road that may feel winding and uncertain at times, but it leads to the person you are meant to walk with. Some of you are searching for love right now. Some of you have already found it. And some of you still feel lost, wondering when or how this story will unfold. But hear me today, there is purpose. There is a reason God brings people into your life, and He does not do it randomly. There is a divine design behind every relationship. And if you open your heart to it, if you trust in His plan, you will see that He introduces you to your soulmate in ways that go far beyond what you could ever imagine. First, let me remind you that God leads you to your soulmate through divine connections. Have you ever met someone and it felt as though you had known them your whole life, even though you just met? Have you ever crossed paths with someone and it felt like the meeting wasn't a coincidence, but a divine appointment? That's what I'm talking about. There are moments in life where, despite the chaos and confusion, God orchestrates encounters that set the stage for something beautiful. It's as if, in that moment, He whispers to your heart, "This is the one." You see, relationships are not just about two people coming together by chance. There is a greater force at work, a purpose behind each connection. We may not always understand it in the moment, but there's something inside us, something deep within that recognizes the divine hand at play. God doesn't just introduce us to anyone. He brings people into our lives who are meant to shape and mold us, who will help us grow into the person He created us to be. And sometimes He introduces us to these people in the most unexpected ways. A chance meeting, an unplanned event, a brief conversation. These are the moments where divine connections are made. But let's not forget that God also introduces you to your soulmate through timing. Now, we live in a world that often rushes us, that pressures us to have everything figured out, to meet the right person at the right time. But the truth is, God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't seem to match up with our own. There are seasons in life, seasons of growth, seasons of waiting, that prepare us for the love we are meant to experience. How many of us have tried to force a relationship? Tried to rush love because we felt it was time. We've all been there, haven't we? I know I have. And yet every time I've tried to rush the process, it has only led to heartache and disappointment. But when I learned to trust God's timing, when I learned to wait on His perfect plan, everything changed. You see, love isn't something you can schedule or manufacture. It's something that grows and develops over time. And in God's timing, it will come when you're ready for it, when both of you are ready for it. Just as a seed grows into a flower over time, so does love. You can't rush it. And just like a flower needs time to bloom, so does your heart. But when the time is right, when God has worked in both your lives to prepare you for each other, the relationship will be stronger and more lasting than anything you could have ever imagined. And beloved, let me tell you this. God introduces you to your soulmate through transformation. It's easy to think that the person you're meant to be with will be perfect, that they'll have everything you've ever wanted and more. But that's not how it works. No, the person you are introduced to is someone who, just like you, is on a journey of growth and change. They are being shaped, molded, and transformed by God's hand, just as you are. In any great relationship, both individuals are constantly growing. They challenge each other. They push each other to become the best versions of themselves. God doesn't bring us our soulmate to complete us. He brings us someone who will help us become the person He has designed us to be. Sometimes we don't see it in the beginning. We may be drawn to someone's external qualities or their charm, but over time we begin to realize that it's not just their qualities that matter. It's the way they inspire us to grow, to change, to become more like Christ. When you meet the person God has chosen for you, you will both be transformed. The love that grows between you will be rooted in something far deeper than mere attraction. It will be rooted in the desire to build each other up, to help each other grow, and to walk together in purpose. And then, perhaps most importantly, God introduces you to your soulmate through a shared mission. There's a reason why God doesn't just bring two people together for companionship alone. He has a greater purpose for your life and for the lives of those around you. When God brings you to your soulmate, He doesn't just want you to build a relationship for your own sake. He wants you to join together in His work. He wants you to build a life together that impacts the world, that brings glory to Him. The love between soulmates is not just for the two of you. It is meant to radiate out, touching the lives of others, fulfilling the mission that God has set before you. When you are introduced to your soulmate, you will find that your lives align in ways you never expected. Your dreams, your values, your vision for the future will come together. And you'll begin to see that the relationship is not just about personal fulfillment. It's about fulfilling God's purpose in your lives. Together, you will be stronger, better, and more capable of doing the work He has called you to do. It's not about finding someone who completes you. It's about finding someone who shares your mission, someone who will walk alongside you as you seek to serve others and serve God. And when two people unite in this way, when they come together to fulfill a shared mission, their love becomes a force that cannot be broken. So, beloved, don't be discouraged. Don't lose hope. Trust that God is working in your life, preparing you for the love that He has in store for you. Trust that He is orchestrating the divine connections, the perfect timing, the transformation, and the shared mission that will lead you to the person you are meant to spend your life with. In His perfect wisdom and timing, He will introduce you to your soulmate. And when He does, you will know that it was not by chance, but by divine design. Now, let us dive deeper into this first truth, the divine connection. We are living in a world that often feels chaotic, uncertain, and unpredictable. We're surrounded by a rush of faces, names, and places that come and go, and it can be easy to feel that everything is random. But I want to challenge you today to see beyond the surface, beyond the fleeting moments, and realize that everything, every encounter, every relationship is part of a greater plan. There is no such thing as a coincidence in the divine economy of God's design. He is working even in the smallest details. And He is using those moments to lead us into something greater. How often have we encountered someone, perhaps in the most unexpected of places, and felt an instant connection? Perhaps you were sitting in a coffee shop, standing in line at the grocery store, or attending an event you didn't even plan on going to. And then, out of nowhere, you meet someone who sparks something in your heart.
It's not like anything you've experienced before.
It's as though at that moment something clicks. And you begin to wonder, could this be the person I'm meant to meet? Could this be the connection I've been waiting for? This is not by accident. It's not simply coincidence that you met that person at that time. It's a divine appointment. I want you to understand something. God is not distant from our everyday lives. He is intimately involved in the details of our days. He has a way of guiding us, leading us, orchestrating moments of connection that will ultimately bring us to the person we are meant to be with. You see, we serve a God who works in mysterious ways, but He is always purposeful. Sometimes He'll lead us into situations that seem ordinary, mundane even, but in those moments, He is quietly, gently, and sovereignly weaving together the threads of our destiny. When God introduces you to someone through a divine connection, it's not merely the result of two people being in the same place at the same time. No, it's a work of God's providence, His guiding hand making sure that your paths cross in that very moment, in that very place. It's as if He has been preparing the hearts of both individuals, working behind the scenes to bring you together at the perfect time. Now, I know that some of you may be thinking, but Pastor, I've met people and it didn't lead to anything lasting. How do I know if a connection is truly divine? I want to remind you that God doesn't work in ways that we can always predict or control. There are times when He brings someone into your life to prepare you for something greater, to teach you a lesson, to help you grow, or even to give you a glimpse of what could be. Not every divine connection leads directly to marriage, but every divine connection has a purpose. Whether it's a brief encounter or a lasting relationship, God is always working, always guiding, always leading you to where you need to be. Divine connections, beloved, are not just about the people we meet. They are about the ways in which God uses those encounters to shape our hearts. I've seen it in my own life, and I know many of you have as well. How a seemingly random conversation, a chance meeting, or even a brief interaction has had a lasting impact. These moments can plant seeds of hope, bring about a sense of peace, or stir something deep inside us. It is God's way of reassuring us that He is with us, that He has not forgotten us, and that He is preparing us for the love He has for us. God's divine connections are often not just about the other person. They are about you. They are about how He is preparing you, strengthening you, and making you ready to receive the love that is coming your way. Perhaps you're not ready yet for the relationship you long for. Maybe you're still healing, still growing, still learning to trust, still learning what it means to love and to be loved. And so God will bring people into your life, divine connections, to help you in that process. Sometimes He brings you someone to teach you patience, someone to show you kindness when you've never experienced it before. Sometimes He brings someone to help you let go of past wounds, to help you understand what forgiveness looks like in real life. Other times, He brings a connection into your life simply to show you what true love is not. That's right. Sometimes we need to see what something is not before we truly understand what it is. We need to see a false love to recognize the real thing when it arrives. And in every divine connection, there is a purpose, a deeper spiritual purpose that goes beyond the surface of our immediate desires. And here's the beautiful part, my friends. The divine connection that will lead you to your soulmate may not look like what you expect. Oh, it may not be the perfect fairy tale moment that you've envisioned in your heart. It may not come in the package you've dreamed about. You see, God knows what you need even better than you do. He knows your heart. He knows your desires. And He knows the kind of love that will truly make you whole. We've been conditioned, sometimes by society, sometimes by the world around us, to think that a soulmate is someone who meets every one of our expectations. But let me tell you something. Your soulmate will be someone who might not fit the mold you've created in your mind, but they will be exactly what you need. They will complement you in ways you didn't even know you needed. They will challenge you, stretch you, and grow you in ways that, yes, may be uncomfortable at times, but will ultimately lead to a stronger, deeper, more beautiful love than you could ever have imagined. The divine connection that leads you to your soulmate is a reminder of God's sovereignty, His perfect timing, and His unmatched love for you. It is a beautiful thing to know that even in the moments when you feel lost, when you feel forgotten, when you feel as though no one understands the longing in your heart, God is always working. He is always moving, always planning, always preparing you for the next step in His beautiful design for your life. You might not see it today. You might not feel it in the here and now. But I promise you, my friend, the day will come when you look back on your life and you will see every divine connection, every seemingly random encounter, every moment that brought you closer to the person you were meant to be with. You will see it all woven together by God's hand, leading you to the love that was destined for you from the beginning of time. So trust the connections you make. Trust the people God brings into your life, even when it doesn't seem to make sense. Trust that God is working behind the scenes, putting everything together according to His perfect plan. And when that divine connection comes, when you meet the person you're meant to be with, you will know deep in your heart that it was all part of a greater story. His story, the story of love, of grace, and of a relationship that will last forever. Now, let us dive into the second truth that God uses to lead us to our soulmate: timing. Oh, how many of us struggle with timing, don't we? We live in a world that tells us to rush, to hurry, to grab life by the horns and make things happen. We're taught that the faster we go, the more we can achieve, the more we can accumulate, and the more we can get done. But when it comes to love, when it comes to finding the person who will walk beside us for the rest of our lives, God's timing is not the same as the world's timing. You see, God has a plan for your life, a plan that is as unique and personal as you are. His timing is not rushed or pressured by the constraints of our fast-pacing world. His timing is perfect. And though it may not always align with our own expectations, we must trust that His timing is always right. I want you to hear this today, my friends. God is never in a hurry, and He's never late. He's always on time. Even when we feel like we've been waiting forever, His timing is perfect. And that is something we must remember as we walk through life, waiting for our soulmate. I understand the struggle. I've seen it in the eyes of so many, and I've felt it myself. Waiting is hard. Waiting for love. Waiting for the right person. Waiting for the timing to be right. It can feel like an eternity. You might ask, why isn't it happening now? Why am I still waiting? I want to encourage you today by reminding you that God's delays are not His denials. The wait is not a reflection of His love for you. Rather, it is part of His preparation for what is to come.
I want you to consider something for a moment.
Just because you don't see it now doesn't mean it isn't happening behind the scenes. You see, in God's perfect timing, He's preparing not only you, but also the person who is destined to be by your side. I know it may not make sense in the moment, but He's working even when we don't see the full picture. There's a reason why we don't always meet our soulmate right away. There's a reason why some of us go through seasons of loneliness, heartache, and struggle. Those seasons are not wasted, my friend. Those seasons are not in vain. God is using that time to build something beautiful inside of you. He's building your character. He's shaping your heart. He's preparing you for the love He's about to bring into your life. And you see, love requires growth. It requires maturity. It requires learning to be the person God created you to be before you can fully give yourself to someone else. There are times in life when we are not yet ready to receive the kind of love God has for us. We may think we are. We may think we have it all figured out. But God knows us better than we know ourselves. And so He allows us to go through seasons of preparation, through seasons of personal growth, and yes, sometimes even seasons of pain, so that when the time is right, we can fully embrace the love that is meant for us. I want you to remember something very important today. You are never wasting time when you are waiting on God. I know that in the moments of waiting, it can feel like you're spinning your wheels, like you're not moving forward. But let me tell you something. God is using every single moment of that waiting period to align everything according to His perfect plan. While you are waiting, He is preparing you. He is preparing your future spouse. And He is preparing the path that will lead you to them. It's like the greatest orchestration you could ever imagine, where every note, every pause, every beat is timed perfectly to create a beautiful symphony. Now let's talk about the pressure of timing. There's a certain pressure in today's world to be in a relationship, to find your soulmate, and to settle down by a certain age. The world puts pressure on you to hurry up and find love. But hear this, do not let the world set the pace of your love story. God's timing is different, and it does not bow to the standards of society. You do not have to bend to the world's expectations about when you should meet your soulmate or when you should marry. God knows the right time for you, and it will be perfect. Maybe you are in a season of waiting right now. Maybe it feels like everyone around you is already paired up, and you keep wondering, when will it be my turn? My friend, hold on to hope, because I can tell you this with confidence. When God's timing is right, everything will come together. The person meant for you will arrive at the perfect moment. You cannot rush this process. You cannot push it forward or force it to happen. You must trust that God knows exactly when you and your soulmate will meet. And when that time comes, it will feel like every part of your life was leading you to that moment. So I want to encourage you to honor the season you are in. If you are single, do not rush and do not lose heart because of the waiting. Use this time to grow, to learn, and to discover who you are in Christ. Build your life, pursue your dreams, and pour yourself into the things that bring you joy and true fulfillment. Because here's the truth. The more you focus on becoming the best version of yourself in Christ, the more you will attract the person who will be the best match for you. When we are aligned with God's purpose for our lives, when we are living fully in His love and His plan, that is when He will bring someone into our life who is in alignment with His will and with ours. And for those of you who are in a season of waiting, don't waste it. Don't waste it on frustration. Don't waste it on trying to control things or on looking for shortcuts. God is doing a work in you, and in your waiting, He is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. When you begin to trust His timing, when you let go of the pressure of the world's expectations, you will find peace. You will find rest in knowing that God is always on time. And let me tell you something. When that moment comes, when your paths cross with a person God has set aside for you, it will feel like everything in your life has led to this moment. You will look back and see the intricate ways that God worked in your life, how He shaped you, molded you, and prepared you for this person. You will look back and see that God was not slow in keeping His promises. He was preparing you for something that was worth the wait. God's timing is never wrong, beloved. It is always perfect. And when you trust in His perfect timing, when you surrender your desire for control and embrace His plan, you will experience a love that is greater than anything you could plan for yourself. His timing will lead you to your soulmate at the moment when both of you are ready to step into the beautiful relationship He has been preparing for you. So hold on to that hope, my friends. Trust in the timing of the Lord. Your story is being written, and it is being written with the most perfect timing. When that moment arrives, you will see that every delay, every waiting season was part of a greater plan. A plan that will lead you to a love that is deeper, stronger, and more fulfilling than you could ever have imagined. Now, beloved, let us take a moment to talk about transformation and how God uses it as a key part of bringing us to our soulmate. I want you to understand something profound today. God does not bring two people together who are the same. No, He brings people together who have been shaped, molded, and transformed by His hand. Before God introduces you to the person who will walk beside you for the rest of your life, He has to work on you. There is a deep spiritual truth in this. Before you can love another person in the way God intends, you must first experience His transformative love. This transformation is not always easy, and it is not always quick, but it is necessary. It is a work of the heart, a work of the Spirit, a work of the soul. God's desire for your life is that you become the person He created you to be, fully surrendered to Him, fully alive in His purpose. You see, love is not something that can simply be based on surface-level attraction or a fleeting desire. True love, deep, lasting love, is born out of transformation. It comes when two people who have been changed, healed, and shaped by God's grace come together, each bringing their whole selves into the relationship, ready to serve, ready to give, ready to walk in the fullness of what God has for them. God is preparing you to love, to give, to sacrifice, to pour yourself out in ways you never thought possible. And it's in this process of transformation that He prepares you to be ready for your soulmate. I know some of you may be struggling right now, wondering why you're not yet with the person you long for. Maybe you feel incomplete. Maybe you feel as though something is missing, and you've been searching for the one who will complete you. I want to tell you something, and it's important. God doesn't bring you your soulmate to complete you. He brings him into your life to partner with you as you both grow into the people He's always called you to be. Your soulmate is not there to fill the gaps in your heart. Rather, they are the one who will walk alongside you. someone who has also gone through their own process of transformation, so that together you can reflect the fullness of His love. Before God brings you the person you're meant to spend your life with, He must first transform your heart. That means God often works through seasons of pruning, seasons of growth, and seasons of refining. How many of us, in our desperation for love, tried to force things before we were ready? Maybe we're too quick to settle, too eager to be in a relationship, and we didn't allow God to do the deep work of transformation in our hearts. But I tell you this, God is not interested in rushing the process. I remember a time in my life when I too was waiting for that special person, wondering why I hadn't yet met them. And in that season, God was showing me something that I'll never forget. Before He brought me the love of my life, He was teaching me how to love myself, how to love others, and how to love Him more deeply. I had to learn to walk in His truth, to be filled with His love, before I could be ready to pour that love out onto someone else. I want you to hear this.
God is doing something beautiful in you right now.
Even in your waiting, even in the moments when you feel as though nothing is happening, He is at work, transforming you from the inside out. This transformation is so much more than just personal growth. It's about becoming the person who can truly love with a heart that is fully surrendered to Christ. It's about being prepared, being equipped, and being made whole in the Lord. Think about a piece of clay, dear friends. When the potter first takes the clay, it's rough, it's unshaped, it's full of imperfections. But the potter's hands don't just mold the clay once and then stop. The potter works on the clay, kneading, shaping, smoothing, refining. And sometimes there's pain in the process. There's pressure, there's heat, there's a lot of work that goes into shaping that clay. But in the end, the result is something beautiful, something useful, something worthy of a purpose. That is what God is doing in your heart. He is molding you, shaping you, and transforming you. There may be seasons in your life that feel like the potter's wheel, where God is applying pressure, where things feel difficult, where things don't go as you expect. But that's when God is doing the deepest work. He is shaping your heart, your character, and your ability to love in ways you've never known before. And the beautiful thing, my friends, is that God is not just transforming you for yourself. He is transforming you for the person you will one day meet, and for the life you will build together. There will be moments when you realize that the very struggles you've gone through, the very pains you've endured, have been part of God's plan to prepare you for the person you are meant to be with. The brokenness, the healing, the lessons learned, these are all part of the transformation process. When you finally meet the person you're meant to spend your life with, you will find that you are not the same person you once were. You will both have gone through your own individual journeys of transformation. You will both have been refined by God's love. And in that place, you will meet one another as whole people, ready to share a love that is rooted in grace, rooted in patience, rooted in the understanding that both of you have been shaped by the hands of God. Now let me be clear. This transformation process isn't just about personal growth. It's about spiritual growth. God is preparing you to love in the way that He loves. Think about it. God's love for us is sacrificial, unconditional, patient, kind, and never-ending. And as He transforms us, He is preparing us to love with that same love. He's preparing us to pour ourselves out for the other person, to forgive, to serve, to give grace, to be patient, to be kind, even when things get difficult. This transformation isn't just about becoming better versions of ourselves. It's about becoming more like Christ in how we love and serve others. You may have heard the phrase, God doesn't bring you your soulmate to complete you. Let me take that a step further. God brings you your soulmate to complement you, to partner with you in fulfilling His calling on your life. When both individuals have gone through this transformation process, when both have been shaped by God's hand, they can come together in unity, not as two halves trying to make a whole, but as two whole individuals who bring their full selves into the relationship, each transformed and ready to love in the way God intended. So if you're in a season of transformation today, if you're feeling like God is working in your heart in ways that are uncomfortable, don't rush the process. Embrace it. Trust that the work God is doing in you is preparing you for a love that will last forever. Be patient with yourself. Allow God to finish what He has started in you. Because, beloved, when He introduces you to your soulmate, you will be more than ready to love with a heart that is full of grace, full of truth, and full of His love. Now, as we close in on this beautiful journey of understanding how God leads us to our soulmate, we must turn our hearts and minds toward one of the most vital and often overlooked gifts that God gives us in this process: discernment. It's the ability to see beyond the surface, beyond the outward appearance, and to recognize the deeper spiritual truths that only God can reveal. Discernment is a gift of wisdom, insight, and clarity, and it is absolutely essential when it comes to understanding who the person is that God has destined for us. I want you to understand something today. Not every person who crosses your path is the one God has for you. There are many people in the world, and many will come and go in your life. But not all of them will be your soulmate. God doesn't just want you to find someone to fill the void or to get by. God desires you to find someone who complements you in every way, someone who will walk with you in faith, in love, and in His purpose for your life. And how do we find that person? It takes discernment, the ability to recognize the divine hand of God moving in your relationships, guiding you toward the one who is meant to be by your side for a lifetime. Now, we live in a world that often leads us to believe that love is all about feelings, chemistry, or physical attraction. And while those things are certainly important and have their place, let me tell you this: true love is not simply built on what we see with our eyes or what we feel in our hearts. No, my friends, true love is built on something far deeper. True love is a divine connection, a soul-deep bond that only God can reveal to us. And that is where discernment comes in. It's so easy to get caught up in emotions, to be swept away by the excitement of new relationships or the allure of the world's standards of love. But God calls us to a deeper level of understanding, one that looks beyond the surface and seeks His will in everything. Discernment is the ability to hear God's voice clearly, to trust His guidance, and to see things from His perspective. So how do we grow in discernment, beloved? How do we learn to recognize the person who is truly meant for us in a world full of distractions and confusion. First, we must be rooted in God's Word. The Bible is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. It is in the pages of Scripture that we find the wisdom to guide us in all of life's decisions, especially in relationships.
God's Word teaches us what love really is.
It tells us that love is patient, love is kind, love is sacrificial, and love is enduring. We must learn to recognize these qualities in the person we are seeking. A person who is truly aligned with God's heart will display these characteristics not just when it's convenient, but consistently in all areas of life. You see, discernment goes beyond just identifying whether someone feels right. It's about seeing the fruit of the Spirit in that person's life. Does this person walk in the fruit of the Spirit? Are they growing in love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control?
These are the signs of a heart that is aligned with God's will.
And they are the markers of someone who is ready for a relationship that honors Him.
Now let me be clear. Discernment is not about perfection. We are all works in progress.
But the more we surrender ourselves to God's transforming power, the more we become aligned with His heart, and the more clearly we can discern His will. It's about seeing the person through God's eyes, not just through our own desires or emotions.
God wants us to see the heart of a person,
To see their potential, to see how they will be a reflection of His love in our lives and in the world. But here's the thing. Discernment isn't just about recognizing who God is leading us to. It's also about recognizing when a relationship is not from God. There may be times when we feel a strong pull toward someone, but deep in our spirits, there's a hesitation, a sense that something isn't quite right. It's in these moments that discernment becomes critical. We must trust the peace of God's presence, or the lack of it, to guide us in those moments of If you're unsure, if you feel unsettled, if there's confusion in your heart, that is often God's way of protecting you. You must listen to that still small voice that speaks to you in those moments, leading you away from what might not be His will. The Bible tells us that there is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it leads to death. We must be careful not to rely solely on our feelings or our emotions, which can be fleeting and deceptive. We must place our trust in the wisdom of God, who sees the big picture and whose plans for us are always good. I know it can be difficult to trust your instincts when it comes to relationships. We live in a world that often glorifies the idea of falling in love. But true love, the kind of love God intends for you, is not something you fall into without careful consideration and discernment. It's a love that is rooted in wisdom, in the peace of God, and in His will for your life. And sometimes the love God has for you is not immediately obvious. Sometimes it takes time for you to see the person He is preparing for you. And sometimes it takes time for them to grow into the person they need to be in order to love you well. So, what does this discernment look like practically? It means asking God to reveal the truth. It means praying for wisdom and clarity, asking the Holy Spirit to guide you and to protect your heart from the wrong relationship. It means surrounding yourself with wise, godly counsel, friends, mentors, leaders in your life who will help you see the truth when your emotions may cloud your judgment.
It means being sensitive to the Holy Spirit's leading,
Trusting that He will never lead you astray.
and as you walk through the process of discernment,
Don't forget to trust in God's timing. Sometimes it takes time for us to clearly see the person who is meant for us. In those seasons of waiting, God is growing your discernment, helping you to become more attuned to His voice, more sensitive to His leading. When the time is right and the person is revealed, you will know it with a deep, abiding peace in your heart that this is the one God has chosen for you.
I want you to hear this today because it's so important.
Discernment is not a one-time decision.
It is a journey that unfolds over a lifetime,
A steady drawing closer to God, a daily choosing to seek His will above everything else, a growing trust that places both your heart and your future in His hands. As your discernment deepens, as you learn to recognize the gentle whisper of the Holy Spirit, you will discover that God truly does guide every step you take, leading you toward the one He has already prepared for you. God's ways rise far above our ways. His understanding reaches far beyond our own. And when it comes to love, He knows precisely who you need, the exact moment you need them, and the perfect way He will bring your paths together.
Place your confidence in the discernment He gives you.
Place your confidence in the process He has designed for your life.
As you look back on the journey toward finding your soulmate,
Remember that God's hand is present in every single step. He leads you through seasons of preparation, through moments of waiting, through transformation, and through discernment. Each season serves a purpose, shaping you into the person you are meant to become before you meet the one He has destined for you.
the path is not always easy, and it is not always fast,
But you can trust His perfect plan and His perfect timing. When you surrender to His guidance and embrace His process, you will encounter the love He has prepared for you. A love grounded in His grace, formed by His purpose, and sustained by His endless wisdom. Trust Him, and He will lead you exactly where you need to be, at the right moment, with the right person, for the life He has designed for you. We live in a world where decisions never stop. Some are small: what to wear, what to eat, how to spend your day. Others are life-altering: who to marry, what path to pursue, where to build your life. From the moment you wake up, your mind is filled with choices. And so often we depend on our own understanding to make them. We collect information, weigh the options, and hope we are choosing well. But here is the problem: we can only see so far. Picture a traveler lost in a thick forest. The trees rise high above him. The path ahead is unclear, and every direction looks the same. He tries to choose the best way forward, but without a clear view, he could walk straight into danger. Now picture someone standing high above on a mountaintop, looking down over the entire forest, able to see every path, every hidden threat, every safe way through. Who would you rather trust? The one lost among the trees, or the one who sees it all from above? That is the difference between our wisdom and God's wisdom. Isaiah 55, 8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." God sees what you cannot see. He sees beyond the present moment, beyond our limited understanding. While we look at life through a small window, God sees the full landscape of eternity. Yet how often do we try to take control of our own lives?
How often do we rush ahead, thinking we know best, only to find ourselves trapped in regret? How many times have we prayed, not for God's will, but for Him to bless the choices we've already made? We want control. We want answers now. But in our impatience, we fail to realize that God is not withholding good from us. He is leading us to something far greater than we can imagine. Think about the life of Abraham. God called him to leave his homeland, to step into the unknown without knowing where he was going. If Abraham had relied on what he could see, he never would have left. But because he trusted God's vision instead of his own, he became the father of many nations. Or consider Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison. If Joseph had relied on his limited understanding, he might have given up. But God saw something greater. He was positioning Joseph not just to be rescued, but to become a rescuer for an entire nation. When we make choices based only on what we see, we limit ourselves. But when we surrender our choices to God, He leads us into a destiny far beyond our imagination. The question is, will you trust the One who sees all things, or will you lean on your own understanding? Right now, you may be facing a decision. Maybe it's about your career, your family, your future. Maybe you're unsure which direction to take and fear is clouding your judgment. Let me tell you this, God already knows the answer. He has already prepared the way. And if you let Him choose for you, He will never lead you wrong. So today I challenge you. Lay down your plans at His feet. Seek Him in prayer. Surrender your will. Stop trying to control everything and let the One who knows all things guide you. Because when God chooses for you, you will never have to live with regret. You will never have to wonder if you made the wrong choice. You will walk in the confidence that the God who sees beyond what you can see is leading you into something far greater than you ever dreamed. We live in an age where human wisdom is celebrated. People pride themselves on their intelligence, their education, their ability to analyze and predict outcomes. The world tells us that the more knowledge we gain, the more control we have over our lives. But there's one undeniable truth. Human wisdom is limited. No matter how smart we are, no matter how much experience we have, our understanding is flawed. We see only a fraction of reality. We make decisions based on what we know today, but we have no idea what tomorrow holds. How many times have people pursued a path that seemed right, only to find it led to heartache, failure, or regret? How many times have we been convinced we were making the right decision, only to look back and realize we were completely wrong? The Bible warns us about this in Proverbs 14:12. There is a way that seems right to a man, but in the end, it leads to death. That means we can be absolutely convinced that we are making the best choice, only to discover later that it was the worst possible decision. History is full of examples of human wisdom failing. Nations have collapsed because leaders thought they knew best. Families have been torn apart because people followed their emotions instead of God's direction. Individuals have lost everything because they relied on their own understanding instead of seeking the Lord. The greatest minds in history, scientists, philosophers, rulers, have all been proven wrong at some point. If human wisdom were enough, why is the world still filled with confusion, brokenness, and suffering? Look at the story of King Saul. He was chosen to lead Israel, but he relied on his own wisdom instead of obeying God. When faced with a battle, instead of waiting for the prophet Samuel to offer a sacrifice to the Lord, Saul took matters into his own hands. He thought, "I can handle this. I don't need to wait." And in that moment of pride, he lost everything. His limited understanding led to his downfall. Contrast that with King Solomon. When Solomon became king, God gave him a choice. He could have asked for power, wealth, or military strength, but instead Solomon prayed, "Lord, give me wisdom." Not human wisdom, not the wisdom of the world, but God's wisdom. And because Solomon sought God's wisdom first, he became the greatest and most prosperous king of his time. You see, there are two kinds of wisdom: the wisdom of the world and the wisdom of God. The wisdom of the world tells you to trust yourself, to follow your heart, to do what seems right in your own eyes. But God's wisdom says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding." Proverbs 35. The world's wisdom leads to destruction, but God's wisdom leads to life. The question today is, whose wisdom are you relying on? Are you depending on your own intelligence, your own reasoning, your own experiences, or are you surrendering to the one who knows all things? Maybe you're at a crossroads right now. Maybe you're facing a decision about your future, your family, your finances, your relationships, and you're trying to figure it all out on your own. Let me tell you something. You don't have to. God is ready to guide you. He is ready to give you His wisdom, but you have to let go of your own understanding.
So today I urge you,
stop trusting in your own limited wisdom and start trusting in the unlimited wisdom of God. Seek Him in prayer. Read His Word. Listen for His voice. And when you do, He will lead you in the way you should go. His wisdom will never fail. His guidance will never lead you astray. When you trust in Him, you don't have to fear the future, because the one who holds the future is leading the way. The Bible is filled with examples of those who let God choose for them. And every time, His choice led to something far greater than they could have imagined. From Abraham to Moses, from David to the disciples, we see a pattern. When people allow God to direct their steps, He leads them to victory, purpose, and eternal impact. Think about Abraham. He was living a comfortable life in his homeland when God called him, saying, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Genesis 1201. God didn't give him a detailed plan. He didn't hand him a map or a list of steps. He simply said, "Go." If Abraham had relied on his own understanding, he never would have left. But because he trusted God's choice over his own, he became the father of many nations. His obedience changed the course of history. Look at Moses. He never planned to be a leader. He was a fugitive, a man who ran from his past, living in the wilderness. But God had a different plan. When He appeared to Moses in the burning bush and said, "I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt," Exodus 3:10, Moses resisted. He made excuses. He doubted himself. But God was not asking for Moses' confidence in himself. He was asking for obedience. And when Moses let God choose, he became the deliverer of an entire nation. Then there's David. When Samuel went to anoint the ex-king of Israel, he looked at Jesse's sons and saw strong, impressive men. Surely one of them was the chosen one. But God told Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him." The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. God chose the least expected, the shepherd boy, the one overlooked by everyone else. And David, because he let God choose for him, went from tending sheep to leading a kingdom. Even in the New Testament, we see this truth. When Jesus called Peter, James, John, and the other disciples, they were ordinary fishermen, tax collectors, and common men. They weren't scholars. They weren't religious elites, but they surrendered their lives to the call of Jesus. And because they let God choose their path, they became the foundation of the church. But contrast this with those who refused to let God choose. Think of King Saul. He was chosen by God, but decided to take matters into his own hands, and it led to his downfall. Think of Jonah. God called him to Nineveh, but he ran in the opposite direction, and he found himself in the belly of a great fish. Think of the rich young ruler who came to Jesus wanting eternal life, but when Jesus told him to surrender everything and follow him, he walked away sorrowful because he couldn't let go of his own choices.
What about you? Are you willing to let God choose for you? Are you willing to surrender your plans, your desires, and your expectations into His hands? Because every time someone in the Bible let God choose, they stepped into something greater than they could have imagined. But every time someone rejected God's way, they walked into destruction. God's word is clear. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37:23. That means He has already mapped out your path. He knows what is ahead. He sees the victories you haven't seen yet. He knows the obstacles you don't even realize are coming.
And He is saying to you today,
Trust me. Let me lead you. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to have all the answers. You only need to do what Abraham did. Follow without knowing all the details. You only need to do what Moses did. Trust even when you feel unqualified. You only need to do what David did. Accept that God's choice is better than yours. And when you do, you will step into the life that God has destined for you, a life beyond anything you could ever plan for yourself. God's choices are not always easy, but they are always right. This is a truth that many people struggle with. We want God's blessings, but we don't always want the path that leads to them. We want to follow Him, but only if the road is smooth, comfortable, and predictable. But God's way is not always the easy way. It is, however, always the best way. Look at the story of Joseph. As a young man, he had dreams of greatness. God had given him a vision of his future. But before he could see that promise fulfilled, he had to go through betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and years in prison. If Joseph had been given a choice, do you think he would have chosen that path? Would he have willingly walked into suffering, rejection, and hardship? No. God's choice for Joseph led him to something far greater than he could have ever imagined. When Joseph finally stood as second in command in Egypt, when he preserved not only his own family but an entire nation from famine, he looked back and said to his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." Genesis 50:20. God's path is not always easy, but it is always filled with purpose. Think of Moses. When God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, it was not a simple road. He faced Pharaoh's resistance, the complaints of the people, and long years of wandering through the wilderness. If Moses had chosen his own way, he might have remained in Midian, living a quiet and comfortable life as a shepherd. But because he allowed God to choose, he became one of the greatest leaders in history, a man who spoke with God face to face. Now look at the life of Jesus. If God's will always meant the easy way, Jesus would never have gone to the cross. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. He was surrendering to the Father's choice. The road to the cross was marked by suffering, pain, and humiliation. But through it, salvation came to the world. Maybe you are facing a difficult choice right now. Maybe the path God is calling you to walk doesn't make sense. Maybe it seems too hard, too uncertain, too costly. But let me tell you this, if it is God's choice, it is the right choice. Following God's plan doesn't mean there won't be struggles. It doesn't mean there won't be trials. But it does mean that every hardship has a purpose. Every challenge is leading you somewhere greater. Every difficulty is shaping you for the destiny God has prepared for you. So don't be afraid to trust Him. Don't be afraid of the unknown. The road may not be easy, but if God is the one leading you, you will never be lost. His way is higher than our way. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And when you let Him choose for you, you will one day look back just like Joseph and say, "Now I understand. God's way was better all along." Sometimes God's choice will not make sense to you. It will seem illogical, unexpected, even impossible. You will look at the circumstances, the risks, the uncertainties, and wonder, is this really the right way? But God's ways are not our ways. His thoughts are far above our own. He sees the full picture, while we only see a small fragment of reality. Look at Noah. God told him to build an ark because a great flood was coming. But at that time there was no sign of rain, no storms, no floods, just clear skies. Imagine how foolish he must have looked to his neighbor, spending years constructing a massive boat on dry land. If Noah had relied on human reasoning, he would have ignored God's instructions. But he let God choose for him. And because of his obedience, he and his family were saved while the rest of the world perished. Think about Gideon. When God called him to lead Israel against the Midianites, Gideon was terrified. He was the least in his family, and his clan was the weakest in Israel. But God chose him. And then when Gideon gathered an army of 32,000 men, God told him, "You have too many men." Too many. Any military leader would have thought the opposite. But God reduced Gideon's army to just 300 men against a vast enemy force. Human wisdom would have called it a suicide mission, but God's wisdom called it a victory. And when Gideon and obeyed, those 300 men, armed only with trumpets and torches, defeated an army that should have destroyed them. What about Mary, a simple young woman from Nazareth, engaged to be married? Then an angel appeared and told her she would give birth to the Son of God. How could this be? It was beyond human understanding. She wasn't married. She had no status, no position. The world would have told her it was impossible. But when faced with God's choice, she responded with faith. "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." And because she accepted God's will, the Savior of the world was born. Over and over again in Scripture, we see the same truth. God's choices don't always make sense to us, but they always lead to something greater than we can imagine. Maybe today God is calling you to step out in faith. Maybe He is leading you in a direction that doesn't make sense. Maybe He is asking you to trust Him when everything in your mind is telling you it's too risky, too uncertain. But here's what you need to remember. Faith is not about understanding everything. Faith is about trusting the one who does. If you try to make sense of everything before you obey, you will never move forward. If you try to control every outcome before surrendering, you will miss what God has planned for you. God is not looking for people who always have the answers. He is looking for people who are willing to trust Him even when they don't understand. Are you willing to be that person? Are you willing to let go of your logic, your fears, your need for control, and let God choose for you? Because when you do, you will see what so many before you have seen. You will see the impossible become possible. The unlikely become reality, and the unexplainable become the undeniable work of God.
Letting God choose for you requires complete surrender, and surrender is not easy. Our natural instinct is to take control, to make decisions based on what we think is best. We like to hold the pen of our own story, to dictate how things should go. But the truth is, when we hold on to control, we limit ourselves. When we surrender to God, we step into something far greater than our own plans. Look at Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. The weight of the cross was before him. He knew the suffering that awaited him: betrayal, humiliation, torture, and death. His human side felt the agony of what was coming. And in that moment he prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. That is true surrender. It wasn't easy. It wasn't painless, but it was necessary. And because Jesus surrendered to the Father's will, the greatest victory in history, the salvation of mankind, was accomplished. Think about Paul. Before he encountered Jesus, Paul had his own plans. He was zealous, highly educated, well respected among the religious leaders. He thought he was doing the right thing by persecuting Christians. But on the road to Damascus, God interrupted his plans. Jesus appeared to him. And in that moment, Paul had a choice: continue on the path he had chosen for himself, or surrender to God's calling. Paul surrendered, and because he did, he became one of the greatest apostles of all time, spreading the gospel to the nations and writing much of the New Testament. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means giving over. It means handing over your plans, your dreams, your future to the one who knows better than you do. It means saying, "Lord, I may not understand, I may not see the full picture, but I trust you more than I trust myself." But here's the challenge. Surrender requires faith. It requires letting go of your own desires and trusting that God's desires for you are greater. It requires releasing the need to control every detail and believing that God is leading you in the right direction. It requires choosing obedience over comfort, faith over fear. Maybe you're holding on to something right now. Maybe God is calling you to let go of a relationship, a job, a plan, a habit, or even a dream that you thought was right for you. Maybe He is asking you to step into the unknown, to trust Him with something you don't fully understand. And maybe, just maybe, you're afraid to let go. But here's what I want you to know. When you surrender to God, you will never be left empty-handed. When you give up your plans for His, He replaces them with something far greater. When you trust Him with your future, He leads you to a destiny beyond what you could ever imagine. Abraham surrendered Isaac on the altar, and God provided a ram in his place. The disciples surrendered their fishing nets, and Jesus made them fishers of men. Paul surrendered his status and reputation, and God gave him a ministry that changed the world. What is God asking you to surrender today? Whatever it is, don't hold on to it in fear. Open your hands, let go, trust Him. Because when you let God choose for you, you are not losing. You are stepping into His perfect will. And His will is always greater than anything you could have chosen for yourself. When you let God choose for you, He will always lead you to your true purpose. Many people go through life searching for meaning, chasing after success, approval, and happiness, only to feel empty. They pursue careers, relationships, and ambitions, thinking that if they achieve enough, they will finally be satisfied. But deep inside, there is still a longing, because true fulfillment is only found in walking in the purpose God has designed for you.
Look at Jonah.
God called him to preach in Nineveh, but Jonah had his own plans. He didn't want to go. He didn't agree with God's mission. So he ran in the opposite direction, boarding a ship to escape.
But no one can outrun the calling of God.
A storm came. Jonah was thrown into the sea, and he found himself in the belly of a great fish. Only then did he realize that resisting God's will only led to trouble. After 3 days in the darkness, he surrendered. He obeyed. And when he finally walked in God's purpose, an entire city repented and was saved. Contrast Jonah with the prophet Isaiah. When God asked, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" Isaiah didn't hesitate. He responded, "Here am I, send me." He let God choose for him, and as a result, he became one of the greatest voices for God in history.
God created you with a purpose. He has a calling on your life.
But if you insist on choosing your own way, you may find yourself like Jonah, going in circles, running from the very thing that will bring true fulfillment. The Bible says in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." That means before you were even born, God had a plan for you. He designed you with specific gifts, talents, and passions, not so you could waste them on temporary pursuits, but so you could use them for His kingdom. Moses thought his purpose was to be a shepherd in the wilderness, but God had greater plans. He called him to deliver a nation. Peter thought his purpose was to be a fisherman, but Jesus called him to be a fisher of men. Paul thought purpose was to uphold religious law, but God called him to spread the gospel to the world. The same is true for you. Maybe you have your own plans, your own dreams, your own idea of what your life should look like. But have you asked God what His plan is? Have you allowed Him to choose for you? Because His purpose for your life is far greater than anything you could design for yourself. Maybe you're at a crossroads right now. Maybe you feel stuck, wondering why nothing seems to satisfy you. Could it be that you are walking in your own plans instead of God's? Could it be that He is calling you to something higher, something greater? Let me tell you this. When you step into God's purpose, you will experience a joy, a fulfillment, and a peace that nothing in this world can give. You will wake up knowing that your life has meaning. You will see doors open that you could have never opened yourself. You will find strength you never knew you had. Because when you walk in God's will, He equips you for the journey. So today, I challenge you. Stop chasing after your own plans and ask God to reveal His purpose for you. Stop running in the wrong direction and surrender to His calling. Because when you let Him choose for you, you won't just live, you will live with divine purpose. And that is the greatest life you could ever have. My friend, life is full of choices. Every day you are faced with decisions, some small, some life-changing. But the greatest decision you will ever make is whether you will trust God to choose for you or insist on choosing for yourself. The world will tell you to follow your heart, to chase your dreams, to do what feels right. But the Bible warns us that the heart is deceitful above all things. Jeremiah 179:9. Our feelings change. Our understanding is limited. We see only what is right in front of us. But God sees the whole picture. He knows the end from the beginning. And He is saying to you today, trust me. Let me lead you. Let me choose for you. Look at the lives of those who allowed God to choose. Abraham, Moses, David, Mary, Paul.
None of them had every answer. None of them could see the full road ahead. But they walked by faith, and because they did, they stepped into a destiny greater than anything they could have imagined.
Now look at those who refused to let God choose. Saul, Jonah, the rich young ruler. Their own decisions led them into sorrow, regret, and even ruin. They believed they knew better. They thought they could control their own future. But in the end, they missed the fullness of what God wanted to give them.
And now the choice is set before you.
Will you release your plans for His plans? Will you trust that His way is better than yours? Will you let God choose for you?
It will not always be easy. It will not always make sense. But one thing is certain. When you let God choose, you will not be lost. You will not be abandoned. You will not be without purpose. You will walk in His will, under His protection, and in His blessing.
So today I challenge you, lay it all down.
Place your future in His hands, your plans, your desires, your dreams. Pray the same prayer Jesus prayed in Gethsemane, "Not my will, but yours be done."
And when you do, you will witness what so many before you have witnessed.
You will see God's faithfulness, His power, His perfect plan unfolding in your life. One day you will look back and say, "I did not understand it then, but now I see God's way was better all along."
So let go. Surrender. Let God choose for you, and you will never regret it.